What's up, guys? I'm Joachim from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. This is On the Horn, VCU 90, Richmond 49, and the 94th edition of the Capital City Classic today at the Siegel Center. Fans have filed out here. As you can see, we just got done with media availability with coaches Odom and Mooney, and then Zeb Jackson, Michael Bell, and Brandon Jennings were the players representing VCU. Comprehensive wire-to-wire win for the Rams. Richmond led for about 22 seconds, I think, early on there at 3-2 after a BR to swipe and one, and then 10-0 run for VCU. I think it was capped by a Max Scholga 3 on the wing over here. And VCU was up, 12-3 early on there, forced a timeout from Mooney, and the Rams were off and running. This is the largest margin of victory in series history. The previous largest margin was 34. I want to say VCU 89, Richmond 55. Do I have that right? I have it in the story here somewhere. Previous largest margin of victory was 34, and VCU obviously wins this game by 41. Brandon Jennings, who's a local product, talked about what that means for the program, what it means for basketball, what this rivalry means for basketball in the city of Richmond. VCU fans will obviously take a lot of pride in putting it to their rivals today in a fashion that this long-standing series has never seen before. And I think the gap between the teams is probably the largest it's ever been, right? Richmond obviously struggling without Delani Hunt, their leading scorer and best player. This is 7 games in a row, I think, that they haven't had him now. And they're obviously reeling, and VCU played some of its best basketball of the year, and certainly exposed the Spiders today. Max Scholga, 20 points to lead all scorers, also had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Wonderful all-around season for him, just has not had to carry this team offensively like he did for stretches of last year, and he's healthy. He's doing a little bit of everything on the floor for this team. He was 31 over in the box plus minus. 12 VCU players on the score sheet, right? Other than Scholga, nobody really popped off today offensively for VCU. Joe Bamaseal, 10 points, 3 of 5 from the field. Zeb Jackson, 10 points, 3 of 5 from the field. Made a couple of threes, but it was really just a great performance from the top of the roster to the bottom for the Rams, right? And even Obi Okafor got on the floor there late. That was a very cool moment, and got his first field goal. He scored the first points of his college career a few weeks ago at the free throw line against Rhode Island, but got his first field goal, and I believe his first assist too late here for the Rams. So the bench was obviously excited about that. Everyone loves Obi around this program, knows that he's been through the torn ACL last year. Environment-wise, I mean, I think we've had some louder games this year, right? The St. Bonaventure one, I think, is definitely the peak for environments at the Siegel Center so far this season. This was more of VCU was in control from the start to the finish, and so there wasn't a whole lot of tension in this arena, right? Inversely to the Bonaventure game, which had a lot of tension in it because the Bonnies were up 8 points at halftime, and VCU had to put it together in the second half in that game. There was no wondering about the outcome in this one. It was pretty clear from the start that VCU was in control of this game. Richmond had 11 turnovers in the first half. That led to some runouts. VCU ended up with 25 points off turnover, which is great because Richmond only turned the ball over 15 times at the end of the day. So only had 4 in the second half, right? So they took a lot better care of the ball in the second period than they did in the first, but it didn't matter. VCU 25 to 8 points off turnover edge, 32 to 14 points in the paint edge, 10-2 fast break edge, 39 to 15 bench points edge. The Rams' depth was a big part of this one as well. Luke Bamboye, 8 points. He was 4 of 5 from the field, 4 rebounds. His athleticism was too much for the Richmond bigs to handle down low. Also had a block, which is one of the Fats Billups bucket, a Luke Bamboye block. I think are the 2 things that draw the loudest reaction from this crowd for VCU home games. And Luke has been elite nationally in shot blocking this season. He had another one tonight. Philip Russell, 6 points, 2 of 6 from the floor, got teed up in the second half there. And if there's any negatives to draw from this game, it's, the reminder that Phil has got to keep the emotions in check sometimes. He's obviously a really competitive, fiery guy, and that spilled over a little bit there in the second half. I don't know what he said or what led to that there. It was probably a little trash talk, knowing Phil, and so he got teed up. Jack Clark, 7 points, 3 of 4 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. Only attempted 1 3-point shot, and a lot of people around this program will be enthused by that because everyone wants Jack to put the ball on the floor, attack, and not settle for the outside shots. He's shooting better when the volume is lower, right? And he can shoot at a more efficient clip. But VCU shot 29 threes today. They made 16 of them, which is a season high, both in makes and in percentage. That's 55.2%, 16 of 29 from 3. VCU 64.7% from the field, 33 of 51. That's also a season high. The Rams played outstanding on both ends of the floor today. There's really no negatives to draw from this game if you're VCU. Michael Bell, 5 points, a couple of steals, 3 rebounds. Christian Furman, 6 points. Brandon Jennings, 6 points. And I asked him in the post-game presser, are you getting more comfortable with that outside shot? Because he was 2 of 2 from 3. Those are the only couple of field goals that he attempted today. And man, Brandon has done so much on the defensive side and the rebounding battle this year with all the hustle plays, and he's obviously gotten big minutes and earned Ryan Odom's trust real quick. If he starts hitting from outside, oh my goodness, that kid's ceiling is incredibly high. Again, it was cool to hear him talk about, his perception of this rivalry and what it means to the basketball community as someone who grew up here. Fats Billups got some minutes there toward the end. He had 5 points. Terrence Hill, 5 points as well. Fats was 2 of 3 from the floor. He and Terrence both hit a 3. So the whole VCU team got involved. Odom played his reserves down the stretch of this game, and VCU was still able to create separation there. And there was a moment with 16-18 to play. I think Richmond came out playing better in the second half, right? Had a 6-0 run, and Ryan Odom called a timeout, up like 25 points. I forget exactly what the score was at that juncture, but, he was not happy with the defensive effort. There was obviously some complacency that set in. That's human nature when you've got a gap like that. And I think Odom let his Rams hear about it in that timeout, and VCU responded with, I believe, another 10-0 run, or it might have been a 12-0 run. There was a Shoga 3 in there that this place really erupted after that, and they kept their foot on the gas through the final whistle. So again, VCU 90, Richmond 49 in the 94th edition of the Capital City Classic. VCU now leads the all-time series 61-33. That is the largest margin of victory in the history of this basketball series. An outstanding night for the Rams. They corrected a lot of the things that they struggled with in the loss at St. Louis on Tuesday, and they're nipping at the heels of George Mason atop the A10. I haven't seen the result. I don't know if Mason won today. I think I forget who they were playing, but I'll check that in a second here. It's a tight race atop the A10. St. Louis lost last night to Dayton. And so VCU in a great position to at least get a top 4 seed in the A10 tournament and certainly to compete for a regular season title. I think it's 3 weeks from today is the game that George Mason visits here. VCU does not go to Eagle Bank this year. That's going to be an outstanding game when the Patriots come here. It's looking like it could be for first place in the A10. And with that being the only meeting and the tiebreaker at the end of the year, that game could decide the A10 regular season champions. So that's going to be a lot of fun. VCU will refocus ahead of a Tuesday game against LaSalle that really similar to this one. They should absolutely win by a comfortable margin. And then I'm going to Dayton next week. That's going to be an outstanding game at UD Arena. I'm flying with the team on Thursday and doing kind of a behind-the-scenes story on VCU traveling. So a big thank you to VCU Athletics for giving me that access. I appreciate the trust a great deal, and I'm excited for that trip because next Friday at UD Arena is going to be a huge one. So long as the Rams continue to take care of business Tuesday against LaSalle, as they did today against a really struggling Spiders team. And a tip of the cap to Chris Mooney, too, by the way. I want to throw that in. It's a joy to speak with him every time I get to. He said that, I asked him, did you see any vulnerabilities in VCU in the loss at St. Louis, and how did they rectify those today? And Mooney said he didn't really see any vulnerabilities, but obviously they didn't shoot it well from outside in that game. And a lot of people around the program feel like this team shoots too many threes. Everyone has opinions on that. Ryan Odom has said he doesn't feel like this team has shot it as well as they can over the course of the season, and today is one of those days where, man, when they hit that ceiling and get comfortable shooting from outside, you make 16 threes, it's going to be hard for any team in the country to beat this Rams team if they're shooting it from outside like that. He also, I'll throw in a note, talked about Max Scholga. He wants Max to shoot it from outside more. He said Max is kind of unselfish to a fault sometimes, and I think over the course of this year, as he's been more of a facilitator with other scorers around him, maybe he hasn't been as aggressive offensively as Odom wants him to be, especially from outside. He said Max can sometimes kind of fall in love with driving the ball because he's got a good dribble drive game, and so Scholga attempted 9 threes today. Wow, I didn't realize he put that many up, but he made 5 of them. So I think Odom wants him to shoot it more from outside, and if this VCU team collectively continues to shoot that clip from three-point range, they're going to be really tough for anybody to beat. So VCU 90, Richmond 49, a historic victory in this great rivalry that the city of Richmond loves. This place was fun tonight. It was a whiteout, great environment. Thank you guys so much for following along the coverage. I just got a game story up. I'll post this in a second here and have some takeaways in Monday's paper, and then we'll see you Tuesday against LaSalle. Thank you guys so much.